So these components, they are given different specifications. When I say specifications, I mean their ratings, how much voltage they can handle, how much ohms they are rated. So these specifications are written on the motherboard. If you take a look at this, you see this one is called X7901 27 megahertz. So this is an indication that this crystal, because I told you in our intermediate series that crystals start with X. So crystal code 7901, that's the ID. The first letter indicates the type of the chip. Then after this one, we have the rating. So if you look at your motherboard, let's look at this one. You see that there is a crystal code X901. Here it is. Yes, X901, and you can see it also has this arrow which indicates pin 1 is connected here. They are saying here that this X7901 is rated 27 megahertz. So as I told you that crystals use different frequencies, so this is the frequency of this crystal. So if you take a look here, you see that this one is called X1801, and down here they are showing that X1801 is rated 24 megahertz. If you take another look, let's go back a little bit. Up here you can see that we are having these ratings. You can see this one is called F503.1.1a/24V. We say that A stands for amps, V stands for voltage, F stands for fuse. So they are saying that fuse 5503 is rated 1.1 amp and 24 volts. If you take a look here on the motherboard, you see that up here there is a fuse called F5503, and this ID is exactly the same. So this information shows that this fuse F5503 is rated 1 amp and 24 volts, which means does not exceed 1.1 amps and 24 volts. Probably if you inject more than 1.1 amps, that fuse is going to blow up. The same happens here. Here we are seeing that fuse 5502 is rated 1.1 amps and 24 volts. If you look up here, you can see that there is a fuse called F5502. Probably it was meant to be here, but it never installed it. So this is its ratings. The same happens here. You see another crystal called X3101 rated 25 megahertz. And if you take a look here, you can see that this crystal is called X3101 and is rated 24 megahertz. So this information is written here for reference, but you have to understand the meaning. Not every information you see here is a rating. So there are specific parts they give ratings, and there are others that they just give IDs, and when you go into schematics, you can find their ratings in the schematics. So there are many ratings here. If you take a look at your motherboard, you also see many of them. Another one is here. This one is called F5701, and this one is actually rated different. The other ones were rated 1.1 amps 24 volts. This one is rated 1.1 amps 6 volts, and you can see that this fuse is actually for the USB. You see it's called F5701. So this is different ratings for different components, and you can see many of them on the motherboard, and they will always include the ID of the component and the ratings it is rated for. So another label on the motherboard is called motherboard numbers. In our previous video, we saw the different motherboard numbers, and actually we checked the motherboard number of this specific motherboard. We also saw that you can use the motherboard number to check for its schematics. So every motherboard has got a number. Every motherboard, even motherboards in small components like watches, even hard disks, phones. That number helps to identify that motherboard and relates it to all the documents that they were designed for. On this one, we saw yesterday that this motherboard, its number is called Vegas Tourist SKL/KBL 153411. Now what you have to know that these motherboard numbers have got also what we call revision. Now this one is called revision 1. Others, they will come with a motherboard number with what we call the rev. So rev is a short form of revision. You know, when they release these motherboards, they realize that there are some errors or there are some functionalities that are not working perfect. So what they do before they release more products, they design another motherboard. And when they design another motherboard, they label that motherboard with revisions. They can say rev 1, rev 1.0, rev 2.0. So you'd find that the same motherboard, or you find the same model of laptop, let's say Dell Latitude 7275, and you find that that same model has got different motherboards. The end user will still have a Dell 72 or any model number, but the motherboard inside will be different. So it is only us technicians that will know, okay, this was a different revision. And to be honest, even the schematics will be different. So these motherboard numbers, you should always look out for them. Now another motherboard label I don't want you to confuse with, these are numbers or IDs for motherboard with different information. Take a look like this one. You can easily confuse this for a motherboard number, but this one is not a motherboard number. Probably these are numbers that identify these motherboards probably from the factories, or have some hidden information about the product. We haven't actually come to realize the meaning of these IDs, but I think these are just related to product information, probably the numbers of ID or materials used. So even here at the back, you'd still see that there is this sticker here. This is a barcode, but you can see that it has got made in China, DP, and other information. When you scan this barcode on your phone, you won't find information, but I believe in their factories, when they're manufacturing this motherboard, they encrypt some information from this code. So every motherboard has got such kind of codes